Hey guys, so welcome to Portfolio Management Rant. So basically today I want to continue on looking at our scenarios for our portfolio. So a lot of the tools that I'm going to take you through and a lot of the strategies and a lot of the mindsets that we're going to be talking through over the next few weeks are things that we use for our clients, our portfolio management clients who are building a portfolio. For a lot of people with one property, it's not that much of a drama. But for when you've got 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 properties, this becomes absolutely critical and crucial because the reality is a 1% interest rate increase can mean 10,000 a month or 5,000 a month or whatever it is, which, sitting there, and if your entire income is $2,000 a month and all of a sudden, you lose 10 grand, that's dramatic. Obviously, you're not going to be in that situation. So today we're going to look at losing your job, the 30% drop in income, okay? So this is a simple tool that we use with our guys, and effectively all it does, look, a lot of these tools, they're there to let you sleep at night. And I keep saying this, okay? Because what happens is if you don't use these tools, if you don't work out the numbers, then you're sitting there not knowing. And that uncertainty can breed fear. It can breed, silly reactions that are emotional based. It can be, making decisions based on things that don't actually exist. All right. So what we want to do is we want to give you the hard data of this. All right. Now we've already been through, normally we take people through what if interest rate rises, 1%, 2%, 3%, and look at that and the impact on your portfolio and see just how long you can survive at various levels. That allows you to make decisions early and all this sort of thing. So the reality with all of these tools that I'm going to be presenting to you and that we're going to be discussing, the design of them and the way they're there to do. And I'll tell you, look, if you want the full-blown cash flow, speak to the team. And we've got a full-blown cash flow worksheet there, which covers a full cash flow of a property. And it's called a 2-year cash flow worksheet. That's the granddaddy of them all, okay? I've never seen it as an advanced one. And I've had plenty of investors who have asked me, grab my worksheet, wound it back, change things on it. But the reality is that does everything it needs to do for most properties, okay? The reality is what it doesn't do is it doesn't look at a portfolio basis when things are happening dramatically. And that's why we go into these scenarios, because it allows you to get clarity, to get certainty, and to be able to sleep at night. Okay, so let's get into it anyway. So this one is all about losing a job. So you can imagine how emotive that is. You walk in one day and they say, sorry guys, redundancy, and potentially you're out. Yeah. So you may have got a payout, you may have got a redundancy, you may have walked out with nothing, you may be, it may just be that you've quit. Who knows? Yeah. So then the first thing is, and before we look at this, let's just talk realistically. Realistically, what is likely to happen, and what we say in this scenario when we run it with our portfolio management clients is this, is that you will get another job, yeah, just as good, if not better, I say. But the reality is, even if you don't, what we account for and what most clients, when we say to them, if you were desperate and you needed to get a job, could you get a job at 60%, 70%, 80%? And most people will say 70%, yeah, I could, So most people say, yes, I can go get a job probably within 3 months. And we say, 3 months at 70%, okay? So that's the figures that we generally work on in this scenario, all right? Is that you're gonna be able to get a job at 70% after about 3 months. So you need to cash flow. And look, this is basic, in my personal finance rant. One of the things that you'll see is that I talk about having 3 months set aside so you can survive. Yeah. Now, for most people, what ends up happening if they lose their job and they don't have money set aside, all of a sudden their lifestyle gets cut dramatically. So now you've got all the stress and worry of finding another job, another source of income, but also you've got the fact that now your income has to change dramatically because you haven't got the cash flow. So my suggestion is always get at least 3 months, in whatever way you can, set aside as emergency money. Okay, so that the lifestyle doesn't have to change, or maybe it changes a bit, but not that much. Okay, because you don't want to, one thing changing is massive. 3 things at once is probably too much for most people. Yeah, because then you add the stress and the worry and everything like that. All right, So that's the personal finance rant, if you like. But this is, the portfolio management. So let's get into it. So basically what we do here, and it's really, really simple. So we type in what we've got. Now I've put 10,000 in there, all right? So what do we got? How much is our savings? 10,000. Now, look, we can get really, really advanced with this and say, but hold on, I've got this which is cash and this which is shares, and I can liquidate those, and I can do this and I can do that, and I've probably got 100 grand. Look, I don't care what you put in there, yeah? At the end of the day, whatever you put in will change the results here. So if you've got 10 grand cash and you go, actually, I think that's enough, fine. If you've got something that you can liquidate and it's going to take a month to liquidate, well then fine, add that in. It's up to you what to do with that. But let's say it's 10 grand, okay? Then what I can do, now I've got a couple of choices here. The current situation is there. I can just put one line in, such as I've done here. Or what I can do is I can actually go down and I can put my business income and blah, 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 blah. Now I've got 10 levels of income there, all right? Which for most people is way, way too much. It's ridiculous. Most people will never have 10 streams of income in their life, okay? But the point is here is that if you haven't, and if you're just stuck with earned income, then the sooner that you can get different types of income, whether that be from multiple jobs, whether that be from investments, shares, whether that be from whatever it is, property income, and start multiple streams of incoming, that will give you more security. So again, these are simple principles that we talk about in finance property rants, personal finance rants, brought across into this because we want to start building those out. And that may be through not just one property, but multiple properties, through building a portfolio, okay? But anyway, look, you can put as much detail or as little detail as there. It doesn't matter. All of these yellow boxes here simply add up to go into that box. So if I had business income of another, 2 grand and I wrote that there, that'll change to 7 grand and it'll change all of the figures across the thing. Sorry, it won't. So it'll change the figures for here, all right? And bottom line is that, yeah, you've got that income. Then you've got your expenses, and there's 20 spaces for expenses. I realize you can have more than that, but what I'd say is it's up to you. You can put one line, okay? It doesn't matter because the results only determined by the total of those 20 things or the total of those 10 things, okay? But you can put in specifics if you want. It's up to you, all right? This spreadsheet is open. You don't have to worry about security and all that sort of stuff. It's there. It's pretty simple mathematics. It's pretty simple formulas. It's pretty simple Excel, okay? And so basically, so in this case, what we've got now is 7 grand of income. Expenses are 5.5. We've got remaining 1,500 per month. So actually, with the savings, we've got an indefinite timeline that we can worry about. So right now, we're looking pretty good. Now, let's say we weren't quite as good as that. And let's say we're now in this where we're actually already in our current situation under 500 shortfall per month, okay? Maybe interest rates are high, maybe we've made a few mistakes, got in a few debts, who knows, whatever, okay? Bottom line is that now we're negative, so it's going to take 20 months of whittling away at that 10 grand, okay, to get, at 500 a month, all right? So, that's where really, we've got to be making some changes because either our income has to increase or our expenses have to decrease inside that 20 months. And that's what that tells us. Now, and let's say, I'm going to say, well, actually, that's not the case. Let's say for most people, they're not really saving much, but they've got 250. So, they're indefinite. In other words, they've got enough to survive under their current situation. That's the current situation. Now what we've got a choice. We can either go into a detailed scenario or we can go into a simple scenario. Because let's say we've lost our job, okay? Okay, so what do we do? Well, bottom line is we've got a choice to detailed. So the detail is simply you just type whatever you got in there. So it may be that your earned income has dropped down to 3,500 or maybe let's say 3,000. But let's say in this case you've got some business income which might be 1,000 that hasn't dropped, or whatever. So you can put all these things in there or you can just put a figure because these figures just simply get put into that figure and that figure comes those. So let's say we're in the same situation, our income's dropped by 2 grand a month, but our expenses, which were 14,750, let's say we drop them to 14,250. So we've carved 500 bucks off our spending, all right? So now we've actually got 10,000 savings, as we said before up here, and so we're shortfall now of 1,250 per month. So we've got about 8 months before we're at zero, yeah? So my suggestion is we need to make decisions now about how we change that. That's the detailed scenario. Or what we can do is we can actually just go in here, yeah, and you'll notice it starts off with the figure that you put into there, okay? But once you delete that, so if I change that now, yeah, it's going to change everything. Well, 35,000, that'd be a nice thing. But let's just say we start, what was it? Let's say we've got 5,000. So what I would do is I put the current figure in here, and then I say, right, I reckon what's a 10% drop look like? Boom. And also my expenses, I can get down to 4,250. So now at that rate, okay, that's the current situation. But now if I take out 10% of my income, I can look down here and see what is happening to my cash flow, all right? So this is the current situation, yeah? But then we're gonna take off 10%. And 10%, that takes off obviously in month 1. We're down to 4.5 grand, which obviously carries across for there and month 13 onwards. So this does for 2 whole years. And the reason I only do it for 2 years is because 2 years is a long time in finances. If you're in a situation, and let's say I'm gonna take it down by 30%, which is not what we generally do. So you can see now, if we're going across, and I'm just gonna sort of bring this up a bit. So month 1, we're earning 3.5, which is our income, which is 5,000 dropped by 30%. Our expenses are 4,250, yeah, which we've done that. So we're shortfall 750. So we've got 10 grand. The first month, 10 grand less 750 is 9,250. Next, 750 off. Next. And you can see that all of a sudden now, at month 13, we've got 250 pounds left, and then we go negative, all right? And then obviously we're negative. Now, if there's no credit cards, if there's no things like that, if there's no other borrowing, you can't go into here. So you have to make some decisions in these early stages, all right? So this just gives you a bit of an idea of what happens if I get 30% or 20%. It will change the figures. 50% drop, you can see 50% drop, you've got roughly 5 months, probably 5.5 months before you start having to worry, yeah? So I'll chuck it back to 30. And so that's how that operates, okay? And it's the simplicity of that. And all it wants to do, it just wants to give us a bit of visualization about when we need to make decisions, if we need to make decisions. And you've got either or, you either go the simple or the detailed, and it's up to you. This is all about letting you sleep at night, allowing you to make decisions early, okay? So hopefully, guys, that gets you. If you've got any questions, make sure you subscribe. If building a portfolio is something that you're really interested in and really something you want to learn about, and you want to learn about a lot of the principles that are behind this, because, I've talked about 3 or 4 principles that come out of this particular spreadsheet. But I think if you want to get in real depth of how to build and when to build and what strategies to build to meet the market and how to change your strategy, or even what decisions you need to make around this, in this situation where you're heading to zero. It's one of the things we talk about, heading to zero. It's one of the biggest fears when you've got an amount of money there, and each time, each month it disappears. That stress that it causes on your body and, your psychology, is not a good one. So we talk about strategies to turn that around on its head, to both increase your income, decrease your costs, and get more out of your investments. And in fact, maybe even change some of your investments for the strategy you're operating with them. Maybe exit some of the ones. We always talk about the exit strategy. You may have to be in a situation where you've got to activate that exit strategy in a recession or in a time when you really don't need to or want to. But in all cases, the sooner you have the information to hand, you can manage what you can measure. So this is about measurement, so you can manage it, make proper decisions, and then working with a team, you'll actually be able to make those decisions. So guys, remember to subscribe, ask any questions. I'm happy to either respond with videos, I'm happy to respond with comments, and you've got the whole team there that are experienced in using this and experienced in talking about these sort of things and these principles. So, if you're interested, get in touch. If you've got an existing portfolio, happy to work with you. If you've got, a portfolio you want to expand, if you're just stuck and you're going, what the hell am I going to do? I started off doing this, it hasn't really worked out the way I wanted, I'm stuck in this situation. In all those circumstances, portfolio management and talking about strategy, talking about structure, that is what you need to do. The worst thing you can possibly do is start getting pitched new properties, yeah? Deal with the problems you've got in the first and then look to expand your portfolio. But don't think expanding the portfolio in most cases is going to help the existing portfolio. Yeah, a lot of times it's going to end up turning to be that salesmanship, and actually those issues are still going to be there. And the worst thing is, if you don't learn what got you into the problems here, then you're just going to take those problems forward and you're going to have a bigger problem. So we don't want to see that, and that's why portfolio management is so damn important. We talk about a done-for-you solution. That's one of the things we offer is, we're there to do it all for you. Obviously, you'll be involved, you'll be making decisions, but you'll understand those decisions. All right, guys, have a great day, live with passion, and look forward to chatting real soon. Hope you enjoy the Excel spreadsheet. But actually, there's a link down in the description if you want to download this and also the one from yesterday, and there'll be a couple of other tools added to that too as well. All right, guys, talk to you later. See you later. Bye.